Fox 5 is celebrating this, the first day of fall, with a special seasonal drink. Holly Morris is live to show us the making of pumpkin brew. That's coming up after 7:30.
Well, it is the first day of fall, and that means a very popular time for pumpkins out there. But this morning, we are priming and pitching the pumpkins. Our own Holly Morris is live at the Capitol City Brewing Company this morning, brewing ale, or pumpkin ale. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning to you, Sean. You know, over the course of the year, the Capitol City Brewing Company will brew some 30 different types of beer. They always do seasonal ales, and the pumpkin ale is the second most popular seasonal ale that they do. And since, like you said, it's the first day of fall, they are busy getting it all together with the help of Bill Madden, the head brewer. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Happy fall.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about this pumpkin ale and the recipe, which I understand is called the
Punkinator.
Punkinator.
You're right.
All right, very good. So let's talk about what goes into it. What do we need to know?
We're going to use 100 pounds of pumpkins today. On top of that, we're going to mash in with our typical grain bill of about 300 kilos of pale malt and just a touch of crystal malt. And then we're going to use a little bit of hops because we don't want to have too much of a bitter flavor to the beer. And then some pumpkin spice. So,
and the pumpkin spice you were telling me is really the key.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We get a little bit of flavor from the pumpkins, and because we roast them, we get a little bit of sugar from them, but mostly it's the pumpkin spice that's going to give all that flavor.
And you use a special kind of pumpkin? This is not like your regular old pumpkin you pick up at the supermarket.
No, absolutely. The typical pumpkin that people use on their doorstep is an ornamental pumpkin. This is a heirloom varietal that's used really for cooking.
And you get these pumpkins where?
Up in Poolsville at Homestead Farms.
Ben Allnut.
Absolutely.
Homestead Farm, one of our favorite places, one of our favorite people. Okay, now why are we picking the seeds out?
Because I love them.
That's what you get to do when you're the head brewer, right?
Absolutely.
Save the seeds for later. Okay, so I hand this to you. You chop it up. Where do we go from here?
Next, we're going into the brew house, and we're going to start throwing them into the mash tun with the grains that are going into the mash tun at the same time.
All right, well, let's head in there as we speak. Now, why do you make a pumpkin ale as opposed to like a pumpkin lager?
Pumpkin ales, well, an ale's going to be a lot quicker to make. And we can do that in about 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time, that's about what it takes, right. Okay, so tell us what you're doing now. What's going on?
We're going to put the foundation water into the mash tun. Just so we can start mashing in. And that's bringing the grains into the mash tun.
Okay. Why do you think that your pumpkin ale is so popular as opposed to some of your other seasonal brews?
I really don't know. People just love it.
People just love it. Maybe it just gets us in the mood for fall. All right. So what are the key things you got to keep in mind as the head brewer that you're going through here? Not a lot of workspace up there, so I'm letting Bill kind of take over. So Bill, tell me what you're doing, things you're keeping in mind as you're putting this all together.
Basically, I've just got to make sure that we get the order correct. We've got the mash going in right now, and we've got to get the pumpkins in, and we let everything rest for about an hour so we get complete conversion of all the starches of that malt to create sugars, our wort solution.
Okay, so you have, how much does that weigh there?
That's about 110 pounds of pumpkins.
110 pounds of pumpkins, and you're going to dump that in?
Yep.
When are you going to dump that in?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So how long does it take you 2 weeks to make all the pumpkin ale that you need to make for the season?
It's going to be a 2-day brew cycle. We're doing the first half of the batch today. We'll do the second half tomorrow.
Second half tomorrow. All right. Well, as you can see, we're just getting started here this morning, and Bill's hard at work. If you want to find out more about all the different ales that they have, you can log on to their website at capcitybrew.com. Coming up, though, you heard him say it takes about an hour or so to get to the next step, so we're going to be here working on this pumpkin ale all morning long, guys.
All right, Holly, it sounds great. Looks great, too.
Very scary. Ahead, how the unique marketing of American Idol is keeping the singing success in the limelight.
And we continue to brew on this Monday morning. Not coffee, not tea, but pumpkin beer. We'll join Holly Morris live for a cool demonstration from Capitol City Brewing Company as she takes us inside there. That's all.
Holly.
Well, Michael, we've got 200 pounds of pumpkins That's what Capitol City Brewing Company is using to make its seasonal pumpkin ale. We are live in the brew house. We're going to take you through the process. Bop, there it goes, down and disappears. And we're going to tell you how you can get some live next on Fox 5 Morning News. Stay with us.
Fox 5's Holly Morris is live in Arlington this morning with more on the brouhaha. Holly, I had to say that once this morning.
I know, I hear you, Michael. I'll laugh at your joke since it's Monday. The brouhaha is we are in the brew house, and actually Oktoberfest is a big event they are gearing up for in October. It starts October 12th, but that's a whole separate seasonal ale. They won't tap that until October. Right now they're getting ready to tap the pumpkin ale, and so I'm giving new meaning to smashing pumpkins this morning. There you go, Michael. Laugh at my joke, okay? Here we go. Bill Madden is the head brewer. He's up here with me. And where are we at in the process, Bill?
Right now, we've got the mash going on in the mash tun. We've got the pumpkins going in, which you're going to put that in. And now we need to mix it all up and make sure that we have the pumpkins all thoroughly mixed together in the mash.
Okay, now as you're doing that, I'm going to hop down here so that our viewers can go up and get a closer view of what you're doing up there as you mash. Now, I threw that pumpkin in raw, but usually you would roast that, right?
Usually we'd roast it up, and that's how we get some of the nutty flavors into the beer. But we've got our pumpkins in there that we roasted last night. We're going to leave this mash in here for a good hour. And once we've let it stay in there for an hour, we're going to create a whole spectrum of sugars that we're going to start sending to the kettle, start adding some hops, and then our pumpkin spice. And that's how we get a lot of the flavor into the pumpkin ale.
Now, as we're talking about pumpkin ale, I mean, why pumpkin? Could you make, you know, butternut squash ale, or? Sure,
we can make a butternut squash ale. I've heard of potato ales.
Really?
I've heard of ales made with a whole spectrum of different fruits and vegetables. Really make some interesting ones, but you want to keep it within a certain parameter. You don't want to use really weird stuff like spinach or lemongrass or some of those other crazy things.
Because I was going to say, how do you really know what's going to make for a good tasting beer?
We keep trying and experimenting and seeing what sells to the public and what the public really likes. And sometimes we have losers.
Now, how hot is that in there?
It's about 150 degrees.
About 150 degrees, because things keep steaming up on us. So I was wondering how hot that is. And you got to keep that temperature constant?
We got to maintain that temperature so the enzymes can do their job, breaking down the starches and creating sugars.
Okay, so it stays in there for an hour, and then from there it goes?
It'll go to the kettle.
Which is right next door?
Right next door here.
How does it get from one kettle to the next?
We actually pump it through here, down through the bottom, and it'll go into the bottom of the kettle. Once we have a full batch in the kettle, we'll start a rousing boil, and that's when we start to add the hops. That's when we start to add the pumpkin spices as well.
A rousing boil.
A rousing boil. A full rolling boil is what we're looking for.
A full rolling boil. There you go. Okay, so then it stays in there how long?
About 90 minutes in the kettle.
Uh-huh.
Then we'll send it through the heat exchanger, cooling it down, getting it ready for the yeast to receive it. We'll let it ferment 3 to 5 days for an ale, and then we'll let it lager or store for about 2 weeks.
So it goes from here 90 minutes, and then you'll pump it into there, which is where the fermenting process or the fermentation takes place.
Exactly.
And that's 2 weeks, you said?
2 weeks.
2 weeks in there? Okay, now, so do you make all of your pumpkin ale, like you're making all of it now, and this is it? This is all you'll make, and in 2 weeks it'll be ready?
Actually, now that we've been on TV, I think we're going to do a little bit more this year.
That's right. All right. Well, it's fun to watch all this be made and everything, and even wear the boots here in the brew house. But we want to come out here and see the finished product.
Here we go.
Here we go. Now, give me a description of the flavor. This
would be a medium-bodied ale. Nice bronze in color. Really, it's the aroma. You get all that pumpkin spice, and then all that pumpkin flavor. It's just like Grandma used to make. Just like
your grandma may have been making this. Maybe. I don't know about my grandma. But what would this compare to? Is there another flavor out there, another type of beer that it would really compare to? Can you really taste the pumpkin?
Oh, absolutely. You can taste the pumpkin. There's a little bit of body that's created or passed on to the beer, a little roastiness, a little nuttiness, but really, like I said, it's the pumpkin spice. It's going to give it all the flavor.
And you know what, the real key that this is good beer, let me tell you, is because when they don't use all of the pumpkins, especially up at Homestead Farm, these Cinderella pumpkins,
right.
They take these to the National Zoo, and you know the elephants do that famous smashing of the pumpkins at the National Zoo. Well, Bill tells me that at the zoo they say that the elephants put aside all the other pumpkins just to get to these, because they're the sweetest and the best. So there you go, even the elephants are saying here, here to pumpkin ale. CapCityBrew.com is the website if you want to check it out. Here's to you guys. And the brouhaha, Michael.
Hey, and a rousing boil back to you.
Thanks.